Hey, what's up guys? My name is Carson Lee. I am a writer and reader here on YouTube, and I am doing the books that influenced my writing tag. This is a tag created by Sara Lubratt, I think. I will leave her channel linked down below, and it just kind of goes through what books I feel like have had a real impact on my writing. There's only 6 questions, and the last is to tag people, which I generally hate doing, but I'm kind of gonna wing this video. Everybody's aware of the current climate of the world. I live in the United States, so we're just all very aware of what's going on. And I want to maybe provide an escape or a little piece of happiness to brighten your day. So that being said, I am winging this video. I did not prepare anything in advance. In fact, I even have the questions on my phone next to me. So we're just gonna see my open and honest first reaction to these questions and my answers to them. Now the first question is, when did you start writing? I started writing, I don't even know. I truly don't even know. I would say that I started writing books probably 7th grade. So what does that make me? I'm a summer birthday, so I'm kind of a baby. 12? So a decade, 10 years I've been writing, trying to write books. I'm turning 22 in July, so I guess it's been 10 years since I started writing and trying to write longer form fiction. But I have been writing pretty much forever. English was always my favorite subject. A little background about me is that I went from a religious school to public school, and the religious school that I was at really pushed the students, and they kind of just kept the curriculum going as long as the students could handle it. So when I went to public school, I was ahead of my grade, and they didn't want to push me forward in grades because of the social aspect. So I ended up having a lot of repeat information, and what my teachers did was they let me read in the back of the room quietly while everybody else did like cursive and math that I could complete really quickly because I had done it the year before. So I think that year I really started reading a lot more than I used to, and kind of falling in love with stories and storytelling, and that was 3rd grade. So probably from 3rd grade on I had aspirations to write, but I do remember 7th grade being the year where I like actually produced something, even though it wasn't that great and nobody is ever going to see it. I actually don't even know if I still have it. It might have gotten lost on an old computer somewhere. The second question is, what genres and lengths of books did I seem to read the most? This is a hard question because, well, I guess I'm just gonna take it in chunks of my life. So I would say probably up until high school, I read a lot of classics and books that my mom read. So I read Lord of the Flies, To Kill a Mockingbird, Nancy Drew books, V.C. Andrews, right? Flowers in the Attic. I loved that series. I have vivid memories of being at my grandparents' house and having just finished the book that I had, and like we lived probably 15-20 minutes away from a Barnes & Noble, and I remember telling my grandpa, I was like, Papa, I need to get the next book, and I know that it closes at this time, and they have the book. I looked online, so please, can we go? Yeah, I was way too young to read those, by the way, and now that I'm older, I kind of get what I didn't get while I was reading them then, which is my personal view on letting kids read books that are meant for older audiences. If they're too young to get it, then they're not going to get it, and so what is the harm really in maybe just confusing them for a second? Because I know for me, I was confused for a minute about certain things, and then I moved right past them, like gone out of my head, wasn't worried about it anymore. So those were some of my favorite books. I read collections of poetry with my mom, so I have an Edgar Allan Poe collection that was my grandfather's, and we used to read from that. I read the Harry Potters, obviously. Everybody read the Harry Potters. I would say I probably leaned more toward classics and books that my mom gave to me, and kind of like the most popular children's books. So Percy Jackson books, Harry Potter books, things like that. And then I would say when I got into high school, I started reading whatever people were reading on BookTube. So that for me was like Cassandra Clare was really big when I was in high school. I'm looking at my bookshelf now. I don't even really have a lot of them on my bookshelf. I guess Sarah J. Maas was my high school years too. Some contemporaries, Morgan Matson, but probably college age me. College age me tends to do a pretty wide mix of those things. I do have a penchant for romance novels, mostly because you know that the couple are going to end up together and the guy's always ridiculously hot and it's fun to read. I love some really good fantasy books like An Ember in the Ashes, Children of Blood and Bone. I love some really beautiful contemporary literary fiction books, especially historical fiction books like that. All the Light We Cannot See, God of Small Things, anything by Frederick Bachman. And I would say, again, just like my genres, my length of books ranges pretty far. Like, I love a good short book, but I also am not intimidated by long books. I've read books over 1,000 pages and I enjoy them just as much as I do little books. I would say in general, because of my penchant for historical fiction, my average length in the last couple of years has ranged between like 400 and 600, which is what I consider average length for historical fiction. Wow, I took a long time to answer that question. Question 3 is, what are 3 to 5 books that I think have inspired my writing? Wow. Okay, hard question. Hard question. Okay, so I just got up and I rated my shelves. I didn't expect this question to be as hard as it was when I kind of briefly glanced at them, but it's hard to think about books that have influenced my writing because those aren't always your favorite books, you know? So I have 4 here with me and I'm sure you will have heard of all of them. Let's be honest, but let's start with the one that I've already talked about, which is The Lightning Thief. Sorry, I live in a wooded area and the sun is going in and out of the trees, and so the light is changing all different sorts of colors. I'm looking a little pink right now, but we'll just roll with it, right? So the first one I'm going to mention is The Lightning Thief. This is my original copy and it's like so beat up, but I recently reread it, and if you don't know anything about my writing, I mainly write historical fiction and I write sometimes with the gods in mind. The Norse gods, I write about Scandinavians, medieval Scandinavians. It is my passion, it's what I studied in school. I recently got English and history degrees from my university and my specialization was medieval studies within both of those departments and within other departments in the school. But I am definitely inspired by Rick Riordan's ability to make everybody very important and distinctive. I recently got a question on one of my last couple of videos about how I keep my characters separate and distinct because I have so many main characters, and I think Rick Riordan was definitely an inspiration for that because especially as you go on into the Heroes of Olympus series, you have so many people that are special and unique and have a role in the story, and you want to see them complete their arc as well as seeing the whole series complete their arc, and I just think that he does it so seamlessly and flawlessly. I definitely look up to that aspect of his writing. The next book that I have here is To Kill a Mockingbird, and To Kill a Mockingbird, it's upside down. If you don't know, To Kill a Mockingbird is one of my absolute favorite books. I reread it every year around my birthday. This copy I got from a used bookstore because the copy that I love the most, actually I have a lot of copies of this book. I have two copies that I love the most. One is my grandfather's, and it is too fragile to move. The cover is falling off and pages are falling out, so it stays on its shelf. It doesn't get moved. And then my other favorite copy of this book is a beautiful leather-bound edition that my boyfriend recently gifted me for our anniversary, I think, or Christmas. I honestly couldn't tell you, but again, if you do watch my videos, you know that dates and me, not friends. I never know what day it is, or month. Really, I never know what month it is either. But anyway. Oh, and if you didn't know what The Lightning Thief is about, it's about a boy. He doesn't know that his father is a god, and something happens to kind of reveal this whole other world of Greek mythology to him, that it coexists in the mortal world, and he has to go on a quest to save his mother. Getting back to Kill a Mockingbird, To Kill a Mockingbird is about Scout, her brother Jem, and their friend Dill, and just growing up in the South, having a father that is really revered in the town, and a big court case that kind of takes Scout's perspective on life by storm. The reason why this book inspires my writing is because of how it makes people feel. I think that this book is almost universally loved. It's just such a heartfelt book. It's not complicated to read, but all of the characters are so real and genuine. Every time I come back to it, I feel so happy to be able to read it. Not because the contents are necessarily happy, but just because the book evokes that feeling for me. And so I want to kind of imbue my story with the same feeling that To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee gives me. The next book I have here is The Odyssey by Homer. I read The Odyssey for the first time my freshman year of high school, so 8 years ago, and it was kind of my first foray into kind of epic sagas, really. And now that I have completed my degrees and I have decided on a focus of medieval studies, I have read a lot of sagas, specifically Scandinavian ones, and just the epic tales, epic poetry like Beowulf, which is not Scandinavian, it's Anglo-Saxon, but anyway. The Odyssey is about a man named Odysseus who fights in the Trojan War, and he is trying to find his way home to his wife Penelope and his son Telemachus. On his sea voyage home, he encounters a lot of monsters. He has to overcome a lot of obstacles to get back to his family. It's just kind of one of the most epic adventure stories any of us have ever read, right? I want to write something that has that same element of surprise and struggle and triumph that The Odyssey has. In fact, just talking about it now, I really, really want to reread this because I just loved it. I really, really just loved it, and I think it's one of the best examples of kind of an epic quest, a hero's journey. So that definitely inspired me with my main characters in both of my current works in progress, I guess, Valor and Might, to give them that hero's journey, that really true and timeless epic quest. And then the last book I have here is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman, and I picked this book up. This book this book is about Elsa, and she loves her granny, and pretty early on in the book her grandmother passes away and leaves her a quest of sorts to kind of uncover, to deliver different letters to different people. And I picked this book out as a book that influenced my writing because of the just truly beautiful language. Every book that I have read of his is just so beautiful. And I really love a good quotable book. And honestly, like, a sign that a book is well loved for me is not even that it has flags, because I would just be flagging every other sentence in this book. It's just gorgeous, and I would really love to kind of give my stories that same beautiful language at the word level, at the sentence level. Question number 4 is, what am I writing now? Whether that is a work in progress or just what I write in general. So I kind of already said what I write in general, but I write historical fiction books. I specifically right now am focusing on Scandinavian historical fiction of medieval Scandinavia and the European world around it. Sorry, I stubbed my toe earlier and I did not notice that it was bleeding until just now. And my battery is dying because this video is taking me way longer than I thought it would to film, so be right back. Okay, so things are a little different, but we have a new battery and we're all good for the end of this video. So question number 4, like I said, the genre that I write is historical fiction. Currently, my books are in medieval Scandinavia. My second book, Might, which I am drafting right now, takes place in 986, like the springtime of 986. And the first book that I have written and I'm working on editing right now takes place about 16 years prior, so around 970. I picked 986 specifically because of who was ruling different European entities at the time, but 970 doesn't have any particular significance to Valor, my first book. And I'll give you a brief kind of synopsis of my books. Valor is a true epic quest story. It's very limited in the scope of how many people interact with my main characters. Even though there are a lot of main characters, they're mostly in nature by themselves, kind of overcoming internal obstacles before they reach a final point where they have a main antagonist, sort of, that they've been anticipating the whole time. My main character for that book is Ira. She was raised to be kind of higher class, and she is shipped off to a different kingdom, a different land, and she stows away on a ship to get on this adventure because she is mad at her husband, her new husband, for leaving her behind. And she kind of learns how to take care of herself and how to be proud of herself. I really love her. She's one of my favorite characters, and I never thought I would say that because she was one of my least favorite characters when I was drafting it. But now revising it, I see how much value there is in her story, and I'm working now on future drafts to kind of bulk up her story and give her more of the center stage. For Might, Might is a story about communication. So I always say that Valor is for people leaving high school. It's about knowing who you are and how you fit in your community, how you feel about yourself going into situations that you've never been in before. And Might is about leaving college, in the sense that you need to figure out who you are within the world, and so many different people and so many different cultures and ways of life, and what you believe and what you don't. So my main character is Hemming, and Hemming travels from Scandinavia to medieval Islamic Spain, and he is challenged by so many different beliefs other than his own, and that's religiously and culturally, and he needs to figure out who he is in light of all of these things, and how he stays true to himself when there are so many more options than he ever imagined. Those are basically my books and the genre that I write in. And question number 5 is, how have these books influenced my writing? So I kind of already touched on that when I answered question number 3, but I'm gonna go back through them quickly, right? And just maybe give some specifics. So for Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief, I have big cast of characters in all of my books. If you recently watched my re-outlining take 2 of Might, I have about 8 characters who have like perspective parts throughout the whole story. And for Valor, I have 6. So I like a big cast of characters, and I also love really active side characters, which I think Rick Riordan also does really well. So there are definitely characters in both of my books that I wouldn't consider main characters, so I wouldn't consider them in the 6 and the 8 that I talked about, but that do have parts to play in the story that are pretty big and that I spend a lot of time on. The next book that I mentioned, I think, was To Kill a Mockingbird. And To Kill a Mockingbird, like I said, I kind of want to evoke a feeling that's similar to Kill a Mockingbird, but I will say that pretty much all of my books have a sort of Atticus Finch character, and that is because I relate Atticus Finch a lot to my grandfather, my papa, who passed away in December of 2018. And my papa is in every single one of my books. He has a part to play in even the books that I don't talk about, the short stories and the projects that don't go anywhere. There's always a character that is like my papa, and in essence like Atticus Finch, somebody who is kind and caring and kind of mysterious and trying to do the right thing, but isn't immune to the weariness of life, I guess. Yeah. Then the Odyssey, epic quests of travel, I guess. In Valor, my characters are mainly in Scandinavia, but they do have to cross an ocean and climb a mountain, and they definitely encounter more like episodic obstacles like in the Odyssey. I would say for Might, my characters start in Scandinavia, and I'm going to use the modern names for these places just for clarity, I guess, for you guys. My characters start in Scandinavia, they go to Scotland, then they go to Spain, and Hemming, my main character, and one other man stay in Spain, and then other characters go back to Scandinavia, go to a different part of Scandinavia. One goes to what is modern day Poland, so we have a lot of traveling in that book that is more like the different stops that Odysseus makes, less like his individual adventures, but definitely inspired by Odysseus's journey. And then finally, the last book that I mentioned was My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. And for this, I just really do try to take my time with my work and take my time with my words and find what I'm truly trying to say and not just what comes to my mind right off, because sometimes that's not actually the level of depth that I'm trying to convey. It's just what my brain knows right off the bat. So that kind of inspires me to dig deeper into my language and into my sentence structure and make it as beautiful as I can. And then the 6th question is to tag somebody else. So I guess I'll tag Adele Marie. If you watch my channel, I love her. Yeah, and if any of you guys have a YouTube channel, please do this tag and let me know that you did it down below. I'd love to check it out. You know, leave a comment letting me know that you did this tag, or leave a link to the video, and I will 100% check it out and go support you guys, because I'm so grateful for you supporting me. So that is it. I hope that this kind of long video brought you a little bit of joy and some relief in the world today, everything that we're dealing with in the year that is 2020. I will see you guys next time. If you want to see more writing content from me with occasional reading content sprinkled in there. Please hit that subscribe button down below. I would really love to have you guys here. I have some fun videos that I've been filming for you guys, and I really can't wait to put them out. I'm like chomping at the bit to have you guys watch them and comment on them because I love to share with you guys. So definitely be on the lookout for those, and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you so much. Bye.